In the year 2016, previously unknown big man Hassan Whiteside just blew up onto the scene, averaging 14 points, 12 rebounds, and an insane 4 blocks per game. It had been 5 years since the Kings had drafted him 33rd overall in the 2011 NBA draft, only to waive him 1 season later. And all of a sudden, this same very guy was taking over the league. And Bob Cousy was one of the first to hop on the bandwagon during Whiteside's rise to stardom, saying this about the up-and-coming big man: "I have never said this in the 40 years since I've retired, but this is the first big guy, not Ewing, Olajuwon, or Shaq, who reminds me defensively and on the boards of Russell. He runs the floor well, he has excellent timing, he blocks shots and keeps them in play the same way Russell did." That is what Cousy had to say about this guy Hassan Whiteside. Nobody knows Bill Russell as a player better than his right-hand man, Bob Cousy, so this kind of praise is just insane. Whiteside was revitalizing what it meant to be a traditional center in the modern era, and his famous snatch block move was quickly skyrocketing in popularity. There was just this general consensus that Whiteside was one of those next guys up, and for someone so physically gifted, the sky was the limit. However, last year Whiteside wasn't even in the All-Star conversation, despite his numbers not really dropping. They were still around that 16 and 14-ish range. And this year, I wouldn't even be surprised if most NBA fans don't even know what team he plays for. He's currently backing up Richaun freaking Holmes in Sacramento, and although I am a fan of Holmes, I gotta admit that he's not much competition at the center spot. Someone being compared to Bill Russell should be beating out a guy like Richaun Holmes for minutes with ease, but there are some glaring flaws in Whiteside's game that have held him back from fulfilling his true potential. On the outside, Whiteside looks like a great defender, but let's actually look at what he provides beyond the blocks. Just to give him the benefit of the doubt, let's take a closer look exclusively on the best game he's had all season, a game against the Nets where he put up 26 points, 16 rebounds, and 5 blocks. Surely this was a good game for him, right? Here, DeAndre Jordan catches De'Aaron Fox on the screen. Kyrie comes off of it wide open, and Whiteside, who's supposed to be the help defender in this situation, just does nothing. No reaction. I'm not saying that he could have stopped Kyrie here, but in terms of effort, he just didn't do anything. Here's another. Kyrie beats his defender, and Whiteside kind of just swipes at his torso. Literally the worst thing you could do in this situation. Swiping so low isn't gonna get you a block because the ball is obviously above people's torsos when they're shooting. So the only thing that this action can possibly do is get Whiteside a foul. Again, it just boils down to effort. He could have stretched out his arm and contested that shot. Instead, he kind of just swiped at Kyrie. Example 3. As a big man, one of your biggest responsibilities is guarding the pick and roll, and Whiteside has always been awful at it. Here, he just gets completely lost. DeAndre Jordan literally walks to the rim with zero effort and slams it home with ease off the lob. Here, the same thing happens again, except this time nobody screens off Whiteside, so it would have been easier to stay on Jordan. Instead, he goes to guard Harden, who's already double teamed, and if the Beard wanted to throw it up to DeAndre in this situation, it would have been so easy. Again, here's just another simple effort thing. Whiteside is tasked with switching onto Kyrie, and he just doesn't do it. But thank the heavens, he finally puts his arm up once the ball is already 20 feet in the air. At least this time you tried to pretend that you're trying. And there you go. That's Whiteside's best game of the season. You could look at the 16 boards and 5 blocks he got this night and assumed he played good defense. Or you could watch the game. But interestingly enough, Whiteside does appear to be trying when he goes for rebounds. He's really doing his all to box out DeAndre Jordan, which is no easy task, and as a result, he's rewarded with a very impressive stat line. But why is it that he's only trying when his numbers will benefit? Helping on the pick and roll won't give Whiteside an extra point, rebound, or block, so he just doesn't do it. He's not much better offensively either. In every fast break situation, Whiteside isn't just the last guy to make it down the court, which is kind of expected for centers, but he usually doesn't even ever make it down the court at all. Pause here. The fast break has literally finished and the defense has fully recovered, turning this into just a normal possession, and still, Whiteside is not back. Most of his points come off of simple dunks and layups, which just isn't enough for the modern day brand of basketball. 82% of his shots come from 10 feet out or less, nor does he have any semblance of a three-point jumper at all. His offensive game has always been basic. We've all known this, but we used to excuse it all because we all thought his defensive game was so dominant that it carried the load for him. All those rebounds, all those blocks, that defensive prowess made him elite. Now that his defensive game doesn't do that for him anymore, what does he have? What does he provide? Why would any team sign him to a contract any larger than $2 million per year, as the Kings did last offseason? When you put it that way, this small contract should be surprising to nobody. And it's not just me that thinks that Whiteside's value has been greatly exaggerated. His reputation has been taking pretty heavy hits pretty much non-stop over the past few years. He's been criticized by Tracy McGrady, Byron Scott, Stephen A. Smith, Charles Barkley, and countless others for his immature mindset that has essentially ruined his career. His downfall really started after he was benched in the 2017 playoffs, where he just looked miserable. Look at him here in this clip. Does this look like a man ready to battle Joel Embiid in the fourth quarter of a playoffs game to you? After the benching continued into the next season, Whiteside grew furious. When asked about his role with the Heat, his response was simply, "It's bull. It's really bull. There are a lot of teams that can use a center." Yikes. If you know anything about the Heat as an organization, this type of mindset simply won't cut it. The Heat have always preached about grit and grind and hard work and teamwork and adjustability, and this, I can only imagine, was a nightmare situation for this team. In my opinion, that massive contract that they gave Whiteside was one of the worst moves Pat Riley has ever made. Whiteside is the antithesis of everything Miami basketball stands for. It's also worth noting that despite having good regular season numbers, he just crumbles in the playoffs. His minutes are drastically reduced consistently year after year once the postseason begins, because he just doesn't contribute to winning. Under this logic, in a situation where winning means literally everything, you're just not going to play him. And that's what we've seen both Miami and Portland do in the past. In another game in 2018, after Erik Spoelstra benched him for the entire fourth quarter, Whiteside just got up and left. He said that he just had to use the bathroom, but dude, there's 40 seconds left in the game. I think most dedicated players would just wait it out. Also, it's just rude, man. I think we all know why this really happened. Whiteside was mad that he was benched all fourth quarter, thought he could pull off a stunt like this and pull off this excuse, and the final result is a situation that makes Whiteside just not look like a team player. Ironically, Bam Adebayo was the guy that the Heat played over Whiteside in this game, and Adebayo clearly has a grudge against him. A couple weeks ago, he just straight up ignored Whiteside when he approached him after a game had finished. Look at the poor guy, he just wants a simple response, and Bam Adebayo doesn't even acknowledge that he exists. In 2019, Bam also dropped this bombshell on Instagram, and although I do hate it when people exaggerate the importance of social media posts. Honestly, I'm not interested in what player liked what post and whatnot, but this one is just funny. Clearly Bam doesn't like Whiteside. Something must have happened between these two. Maybe it's just the disrespect Whiteside showed him when he left that game while Bam Adebayo was still playing, or maybe there's something deeper that we don't know. I don't know how any of this ties into the general point that Whiteside isn't really a productive player, but it does prove that he is a bit of a head case, and Bam Adebayo, a pretty likable guy who kind of gets along with everybody, clearly has an issue with Whiteside. And in this one, I'm taking the side of Bam. So there it is. Whiteside's reputation isn't only falling in the eyes of 12-year-old Twitter users, but by really everybody all around. He's also only made one all-defensive team, despite having the second most blocks in the NBA since 2015. So really, everybody is beginning to take notice that his game is just a fluke. I think that Whiteside at the start of his rise was legitimately putting his all into his game, and it definitely showed. But after signing a 4-year $98 million max deal with Miami after the 2016 season, there really wasn't anything he had to fight for. Now that the contract is up and he's been forced to sign a measly 2-year $4 million contract at the start of this season, maybe that will be enough of a wake-up call for him to start trying again. Of course, we haven't seen that much of him this season, but the little bit that we have seen of him hasn't been very promising. It looks like this time the money won't be motivating him. But of course, I hope that he can prove me and many others wrong and can revive his career, because he definitely has the potential to do so. All he has to do is try a little harder on those pick and roll sets, get back down on the court during fast breaks, and really just be there for his team whenever they need him. He is of course getting older, he might be past his prime, so there's not a lot of time left for him to make this change, but he definitely has the physical ability to be something special. If anything, don't just get fooled by the numbers. He had a 26-16 game a couple weeks back, and when you look at something like that, your initial reaction is, wow, he's really proving people wrong this time. But in reality, we've been here before. Reject that initial reaction. Don't get fooled yet again, because remember, he fooled all of us for years. He fooled you, he fooled me, he fooled the Heat into giving him a massive contract, and he especially fooled Bob Cousy. Thank you all for watching. Before you click off the video, just check if you are subscribed. I appreciate every new subscriber, legitimately, I really do. And to close off this one, I'm gonna do something a little different. We're gonna end things off with a clip that, in the moment, we all believed to be funny. But now, looking back at it all these years later, I think this interview has become extremely telling. Take a look.
Congratulations on the triple-double. What inspired you today?
I mean, I just came out. I'm just trying to just win every game, and I got great teammates, and just come out and just try to get a win every night. I'm just trying to really get my NBA 2K rating up.
Alright, that's all I got for you guys today, and with that, stay safe out there.